of Allegiance?
You have to ask somebody to do the Pledge of Allegiance. Do we have any volunteers?
Well, I think Merritt should do it because he has the flag.
Oh, there you go. Then I don't have to share my screen. Okay.
Yeah, totally.
Are we going? Does that mean we're going now? I'd be happy to.
Go for it.
The weird thing about Zoom is don't stand up when you have a desk level camera, right?
I know. Right. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Okay.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great job.
Awesome job, Merritt. All right. Introduction of new members and guests. That's me, right, Renee?
We know you.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Monday Chamber. We are gathered here in the presence of Johnson Wealth Management. And everyone, please welcome Dave Johnson. And we have Brandon Stockman here as our special guests.
You guys want to introduce yourselves real quick before we move into your presentation? Or you can wait and do it during your presentation, whatever you're more comfortable with.
Well, no, I'm just thinking out loud. I'm a chamber member and embarrassed to think, why haven't I participated in these meetings before? And I can use the excuse that I live in Phoenix, Arizona, but that's a poor excuse. So my apologies. And I guess, Renee, after today, I'll be better connected right now. I will put the heat on Brandon, my partner, who's in Fortuna, because you would think then he should have been participating in these on my behalf. But regardless, I'll take the heat and say I'm happy to be here with you all. And I am a member, been for many years, and been in hiding, I guess.
Well, we're happy to have you now. So thank you for agreeing to be on the hot seat here with as our special guest. And clearly we need to get you signed up for our emails or something that you're not getting all these notifications. So I will take care of that.
Honestly, that would help because I'm gonna play the email game and say, I don't know that I've received anything saying this is
it happens.
Event, but yeah.
I know, and you'll have to follow the Chamber Facebook page too, because we post our meeting notices there too. But anyway, Brandon, do you want to say a couple of words now that he's got you on the hot seat?
No problem at all. It's really good to be here. Yeah, it's been a while for me too. I know that at the Monday Club, I've been there, but yeah, that's been a little while for me as well. But really glad to be able to talk a little bit today about the firm, and we'll probably save a little bit of the introduction for then too. But thank you so much.
Great. We're glad to have you. Okay, so I guess I'll move into our little chamber announcements. So as most of you probably know, although maybe David and Brandon don't know, we have our big fundraiser this Friday, April 9th. We are going to do that drive up dinner at the River Lodge. You can pick up your meal from 4:30 to 7:30. We will sell dinner tickets through close of business tomorrow. So if you want to reserve a dinner ticket, just call me here or email me. Tell me if you want traditional meat or pesto, and we'll have one waiting for you. You can pay at the door. That's fine. We just need a head count so Jeannie has enough pans of lasagna made by Friday. What else? Oh, raffle tickets. We have raffle tickets in a bunch of different places. Here at the Chamber office, several of our board members are running around with them. Let's see, Umpqua Bank has some, Co-Central Credit Union has some, Fortuna Fabrics has some. You can go into Ferndale at Abraxas and see Afton. She's part of the Skate Park Collective. And then our friends to the north at the McKinleyville Chamber of Commerce, who Charlie Caldwell is on their board. He's part of the Humboldt Skate Park Collective. So he offered to sell some tickets up north for us. So wherever you are, you can find some tickets. The drawing will be live on Facebook on Saturday, April 10th. Our board chair, Kelly Isaacson, will be doing the honors with her Vanna White, AKA Becky Giacomini, and a few of us, Melissa and myself, and probably another person will be behind the camera helping coordinate the raffle drawing. We have over $11,000 in prizes. It runs the gamut. I cannot believe how, I mean, I should believe by now how generous our community is. It's been absolutely amazing. So if you haven't seen how many prizes we have, go check out fortunachamber.com/raffle-prizes. I created this giant poster. I mean, it's so hard to tell, but I mean, it's a crazy amount of prizes and they're really good. What's next? Wednesday night at 6, it was just announced that Redwood Memorial Hospital will be doing another public forum. It's through that Microsoft Teams format that they did before. They'll have some of their key stakeholders and hospital reps on that call. So that's 6 p.m. They have a link to the meeting on their Facebook page, the St. Joseph Humboldt County Facebook page, I believe is what it's called. If you missed it in our email today, or you can always call me or email me and I'll send you that link. And then next Monday, we welcome Harlan Law Firm to our guest speakers, Amy Stover Mendoza. Yes, I believe, or maybe Amy Mendez Stover, well, whichever, I forget which way it goes. She will be our featured speaker and she's going to talk about estate planning. So tune into that for our next meeting on the 12th at noon. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thanks, Renee. Do we have any announcements from our members? Anyone got
Council meeting.
good?
Council meeting tonight.
Yeah, I'd be happy to run through the council meeting agenda if you're ready at some point.
Let's hear it.
It's so exciting. Let's hear it.
It is so exciting. So we have a few items on the agenda tonight. A couple of presentations, one to recognize really our dispatchers and recognizing National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week, along with some unit commendations for our dispatchers. And we are really lucky to have a great dispatch staff at our police department in Fortuna. And so I think that's much deserved. So that'll be in the proclamations and presentations. Some pretty routine items on the consent calendar. A few things for business items. One of them is the adoption of a new fee schedule for city services, including administrative parks, recreation, police, river lodge, and Monday Club and transit fees. There's a good chance that will end up being continued. So if you're interested in that one, that may be put forward to the next meeting. The council still wants to see a little bit more before we finalize that. There's a public hearing actually, so it's split into two. One is for all the other fees other than water and wastewater and building. And then anyway, there's two items for that. The other one that might be of interest to this group is the 2021 Community Development Block Grant application. So there was a public meeting that was well attended to look at community development block grants. A lot of project ideas came from the public, great ideas, but none of them took a project through to fruition, which you have to do to qualify for CDBG. So we will be recommending that the council proceed with a barrier removal project, which can be completed and brought to fruition. So that's probably the big item on the agenda for tonight. That's all I have.
Great. Awesome. Anyone else have any announcements? John, anything going on at the blood bank? Go ahead and unmute yourself. Do you have any critical needs?
Thank you. Actually, we're going to be at Fortuna High this week. Fortuna High was the last live blood drive we did last year, and it's the first live blood drive we're going to do at a high school this year. So we're working out the social distancing and all, and really appreciate their willingness to work with us in the midst of all of the other madness they're dealing with. And then on Thursday or Friday, we'll be at Safeway in Fortuna. So you can always check for the schedule at nccbb.org, or Google Bloodmobile and we'll show it.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Thank you. Fred, do you have an announcement? Yeah, go
Today
ahead.
is opening day of Little League.
Woohoo!
Been 22 months.
Awesome. Good job. Coach.
No.
No, you're not coaching?
No.
Oh, I thought you were coaching.
President is a full-time job. I have no time to coach.
I got suckered
Oh.
into coaching.
Yeah, yes, she did.
Awesome. Okay. Well, without further ado, I guess we will, unless there's any final announcements, we'll move on to our featured speakers, Dave Johnson and Brandon Stockman from Johnson Wealth Management. Take it away.
Okay, great, thanks. Looking at our list of attendees, trying to think of who I know besides Jeremy and Denise. There could be more. Of course, many of you may know Brandon more so than me, but I have been part of Fortuna since 1976, 75, 76, moved there and grew my family up there. My wife and I have been married for 35 years, and our 3 daughters grew up there, went to, of course, the public schools and Fortuna High. And in 2003, Lisa and I moved to Tucson, Arizona, and part of it was to escape the weather and enjoy supposed sunshine that's consistent. But honestly, it was more so to help a dear friend start a church, plant a church in Tucson. And in that whole process, during that season, my wife got cancer and we ended up in Phoenix. She is still alive after 10 years of treatment, thanks be to God. And she's healthy today. We're thankful of that. But we live in Buckeye, which Buckeye, if any of you know Buckeye, Arizona, it's outside of Phoenix, but it's very much like a little bit bigger than Ferndale, a little bit more populated than Ferndale, but has very much the look feel of Fortuna, Ferndale, Hydesville, that whole cowboy, Mike Johnson, wear the hat, pack a piece if you need to, want to, right? And you, for us, we feel comfortable, we feel at home, and yet Fortuna is the original home. That's where our offices are. I opened up Johnson Wealth Management in 1994, and it has been there ever since. Brandon came on board, I don't even know, a decade or so ago, more than that, he'll tell you. But we love Fortuna. We love the small town. Do I miss it? Yes, but I don't miss rain and fog and wind and cold. And I know it's not always like that, right? I know the signs that are outside of Fortuna, but in the same regard, this is where we grew up our family after high school, and now they're all grown up. I have 9 grandchildren, and just love life to the fullest, whether it's in Arizona or whether it's in Northern California. And we love doing business in Fortuna. We always have, I always have. And part of, I guess, today we were honored to be asked to speak. Again, I've been a member probably, I would think, Renee and Melissa, since 94, because I've consistently been a member of the chamber, but just not actively involved as much as we'd like to be or should be. And maybe the future will change that. But having said that, Johnson Wealth Management is a financial planning firm. Most of our clients are in California, but honestly, it's not just there. We've got clients in 22 states, and we do a lot of business with both retirees, non-retirees, foundations, charitable foundations, that type of approach to investment management and wealth management, and love what we do. We are more concerned about managing risk versus return rather than investment numbers? Or what do you think, Dave, based upon the current economic environment, is it a good time to buy or a good time to sell? Yeah, we're always going to give those answers. It's always a good time to buy and it's always a good time to sell. The better statement is, are you properly invested based upon the risk that you want to take and the return that you're hoping to receive? And does the investment portfolio match up with that perspective? So I'll let Brandon, clarify some of those things, but we just wanted to introduce or reintroduce ourselves and say hello to our Fortuna community. We're in the location close to the ball fields there, next to Dr. Jones, Russell Jones, and in that little complex area there, and have been since '94. So a long time standing in the same location, but just, again, thanks for letting us chit chat with you all for a little bit. And Brandon, I'll let you talk a little bit more about just what Johnson Wealth Management does with regards to managing funds, and maybe introduce folks to our website and whatnot, and take it from there.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much again for letting us chat a bit. Before I get into the firm, a little background on me and us, as in my family. Kate and I, born and raised here. I left for probably about a year and then came back. But we have 4 kiddos. So we have Grace, who is 11. We have Adam, who is 9. Everly is 6. And then we have Hudson, who is 4. So we got kind of a lot going on at the Stockman house. And Kate homeschools our kids, and she also leads a co-op group of about 20-something other kids, where they meet once a week and do science and all kinds of different stuff to kind of give the kids a chance and to get together. Though COVID, like for everyone, changed all that, so she had to move that to Zoom. And so we've been here most all of our life. Like I mentioned before, I had been to one of these meetings, but it's been quite a long time ago. It was the Monday Club, and it's been a bit of time, but glad to get out there again. I've known Dave for a lot of years now. I think it was the late 90s. Him and I did a nonprofit organization here in Fortuna that I was a part of leading, and he was an advisor on it. And so him and I got to know each other well. He was in my wedding, and my wife, actually, before she was my wife, lived with him for a little bit. So we have a really strong friendship.
Well, let's clarify. We had a house / an apartment that Kate rented from us. She didn't live with me. So let's just clarify things here.
For the clarification. Yeah, him and I have known each other for a long time now. We became good friends. And our focus as a firm is really focused on the relationship, because we think that wealth is much bigger than just a portfolio. Our little tagline there of live and leave a legacy. Legacy is a big deal, and wealth is a big deal, but wealth is more than just money, and more than just what your portfolio is. And so we really focus on trying to get them to know our clients well. Like he said, to be able to manage risk, and not just be predictive of what may or may not happen in the markets. And last year was a good example. You can have a fantastic, wonderful PowerPoint presentation or whatever else it is, and you may be completely wrong. and so it's really a lot about managing behavior as well, because as we know, when we see portfolios drop, personally, we get scared, and sometimes we want to act in ways that we shouldn't. So we think that managing people matters big in this business. And of course, that can only happen if you really know how a client is, how they behave, what their life is like, what their kids are like, to really know the whole perspective of where they're headed. And so that's a big focus of our firm, and every firm can be different. What I wanted to show just briefly, if I can share the screen, right? I think. Yes, I think you let me. Thank you, Renee. Let's see here. Let me know if you guys can see this. We're gonna get fancy here for me. There we go. Can you guys see what's on my screen?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Awesome. Anyway, so this is our website, and there's a couple different ways for those who are interested in either a complimentary consultation. There's a little meet with an advisor tab here. There's also a risk analysis here that we use through a program called Riskalyze, which again is a big focus of how we manage portfolios. So that's one spot for those that might be interested. But even if you're not interested and you're just interested in learning more about education and financial literacy, we have started a blog, which is over here, that you can actually sign up for. There's a little link right below here. So I've been trying to blog on a weekly basis. I'm covering various things in the marketplace. I mean, again, whether it's volatility or cryptocurrency, gold, euphoria, crashes, things to remember when we meet with an advisor, trying to cover various topics that might come to mind. Again, it's not financial advice. It's not trying to give predictions. It's simply just ways in which to help people be a little bit more educated on the way that markets work and on what their portfolios are, or really what maybe they should be, and to really kind of guide people in just understanding markets and investments more. So if that's something that you're interested in, that's a way to access that. And that's pretty much what we wanted to point out, and then really just open it up for any questions and that you guys might have. Just to give you a sense of the way in which we do business, kind of the big picture sense of that anyway. And so that's what I had. Hey, David, do you want to chime in at all?
Well, I guess the one important point to any of you who could be interested is from our website is a wealth of information. Wealth is a dangerous word to use, but a lot of info there, whether it's about our firm or, like Brandon said, the blog, or I love the ability for anybody to go on and do a risk analysis of how are they invested, because most folks, right, you'll get it, we'll hear it, you'll see it. I don't take on any risk, and you find out that 80-year-old has stock of shares of Disney or whatever company that they've had for Procter and Gamble for 10, 20, 30 years, and they are taking on risk. They just didn't consider that to be risk. Well, by providing this Riskalyze analysis, one, we get to learn what level of risk you're willing to take and should take as an investor, but then we measure every investment that's out there in America or internationally, and we're able to extrapolate that data and say, well, you say you're a risk score of 60 on a scale of 1 being 0 risk and 100 high risk, but your portfolio, once we run it through, is a 72. Well, those two don't match up. So we want to figure out why they don't match up and how we can help you match them up, or vice versa, right on the score. So being able to do the risk analysis on each and every client, and then meet with every client quarterly to determine, understand, assess, and deal with those changes that are happening both in the market, the environment, and in every person's personal life. I think that's wholesome and good. But at the end of the day, yeah, if all we're looking for is an advisor to say, what do we think the markets are going to do in the next 12 months, chances are we're going to be wrong. And chances are we might be right, but we might be wrong, right? It's going to go up and down. The market is just going to continue to confuse us. But if we can manage to risk rather than reward, I think the reward will end up and be eventual over time. So, but yeah, that's about all I've got to say. Brandon, certainly would like to open it up, because We didn't talk anything about the markets on purpose, but if anybody has questions or comments, sure, we'd love to try and tackle that.
Yeah, I have just a couple of general questions, not to put you guys on the spot. I noticed that a couple of your blog entries were really fascinating. So one was about gold, because I hear commercials all the time. Bill O'Reilly is one of the more famous ones telling people to buy gold. And then the other thing about cryptocurrency, and people thinking that we're moving to a digital currency in 10 years. And what are your thoughts on those two things, just in relation to what you've already blogged about?
So I'll let Brandon tackle that, but me personally, I love gold, but I love it as a complement to the portfolio. I don't love it as sell everything and you better have 100% of your assets in gold. Good luck. The world's coming to an end. We won't wake up tomorrow, but I can sleep on my gold, or I can chew on my gold bar, or whatever. We know, we've seen all of the late night commercials. Forget Bill O'Reilly, just pick on the 1 a.m. kind of infomercial, and the world is coming to an end. You better have all your money in gold. I don't buy that any more than you better have all of your money in technology. You better have all your money in Tesla. You better have all your money. You better not have all your money in any one sector. So gold is a complement. Cryptocurrency is the future. I don't like it, but that's the wave of the future. And I say I don't like it because I'm older now with 9 grandchildren and I don't understand it. So when I ask Brandon to blog about it and he writes it, and then I look at his blog and go, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm going to let Brandon explain that one. But yes, it is 10 years from now. I think you're going to be paying, whether it's Bitcoin or some other type of cryptocurrency, that'll be a form just like my credit card is. So Brandon, go ahead.
Yeah, I think a couple things. I mean, first, obviously, we got to do the disclosure thing that we can't give financial advice and specifically about these investments and all that. More just an informational thing. But as far as, I'm to stick with gold just for a second, I think sometimes what happens is because of commercials, because it becomes more of a fear trade kind of idea, is that people think that it's safe. And I mean, you might have a client who thinks, well, let me get all out of the market and let me put it all in gold. And then you got to remind them with evidence that, okay, if that's what you're going to do, here are some of the things based on the past that might happen. And so sometimes realizing, ooh, so safety, can that mean that it can go down 20%, 30%, 40%, just like what the markets do? Well, yes, it can. And if that's your perception of safety, but I think it's just a way in which to remind that sometimes the way something is portrayed through the media, clearly it's trying to tap into a human instinct of fear, which you can play that game with all kinds of different investments, and really any kind of investment, because investments in general are risky. Some are more risky than others, but there's always going to be a level of risk attached to an investment. And then like what Dave was saying about the end of the world kind of apocalyptic thing, what was it? The famous person who said, you only bet on the world, or you only bet on the end of the world once. And could it happen? Yes, anything can happen. We saw oil go negative in the futures market in 2020. So when oil is going negative, there's all kinds of different things that can happen in the market that can be completely unexpected. And that's, again, one of the biggest things is external events tend to affect the market, but we tend to get hung up on things like politics and everything else that tend to drive our behavior rather than things come and surprise us. And then what are we going to do? And so as far as gold goes, that was just kind of some of the point of that post, was just a reminder of the volatility of it. What you think might be safe, you're just basing your safety on price movement, not on something that's going to produce anything. But again, there's a history of that, and there's reasons why gold has been a popular investment for much longer than the United States of America has been around for. As far as cryptocurrency goes, I mean, again, it's such a risky area. And like I mentioned in the article, it's not something that we can purchase or in any way that we would recommend purchasing. But clearly there is change in in the way things have been just in my lifetime. I mean, I'm 42, I think. I always forget. I'm always like a year off. But just in my lifetime of how much change has happened and how much life is lived online nowadays. And if you're following the news at all, the price of Bitcoin or things like NFTs, non-fungible tokens, and digital art being sold for millions and millions of dollars. And some of us go, this just does not make sense at all. But clearly, life is lived online, whether we like it or we don't like it. More and more, that's what is happening. All our transactions are happening that way, social media, social networking, you name it. So is cryptocurrency going to be kind of like a digital gold kind of asset? Maybe, maybe not, who knows? Which one is it going to be? There's all kinds of different types. Isn't the government going to come out with one? Again, we don't know. But clearly it's a fascinating area. But man, it's a risky area as well. So those are some thoughts.
And how do you feel about the wannabe day trader at home who gets the greatest stock tips, from a Motley Fool or whoever, whatever? Like, how is something like what you offer better than somebody trying to do it on their own? Like, how can you help somebody that wants to try and be that way, but isn't as experienced?
I always want to be careful in a specific situation. So again, just speaking generally, clearly day trading you can make a lot of money. You can also lose a lot of money. And I'm even with the GameStop situation that some of you may be familiar with. I mean, you can see prices get driven up crazy and people, young people, old people, whoever, making a killing fast and also can lose a killing fast. And so it's just a reminder of them, the importance of investing over the long term. So can you make money? Yes. And you can also lose a lot of money. So again, risk is going to come into play. And why are you invested in it? Why, one of the things right now is how do you justify prices? Well, who knows? Because price justification is so hard now with the feds and with everything else. It's so hard to even know. We want a fundamental reason of why something might be worth something. And the fact is, and there's a lot that, again, we don't understand just on a day-to-day basis. Usually over decades and over time, things start to play out. But the thing about day trading is you're just kind of betting on the moment. And so it becomes a much more risky endeavor. And so really trying to focus on a long-term plan. It's hard to be a day trader focused on long-term because by nature, it's not long-term. It's days, or even with some high frequency trading, or it's seconds, it's less than seconds. It's instantaneous movement of in and out of monies. Which for the average Joe, and again, we hear about hedge funds that disappear, hedge funds that collapse, some that make a lot of money and their popular names get on the headlines, whether it's somebody who has a lot of credence or not. But no one knows. And there's always going to be, a bull case, a reason for something to go up and a reason for something to go down. And again, that's why we really got to focus on long-term stuff, especially for the average Joe. And really, I mean, all of us are average Joes in a sense, no matter how much we know, because external events happen that change everything. So any thoughts, Dave? Any comments you want to jump in on?
Well, all I know is
Oh, you're muted.
yeah, there
There you go.
Sorry.
It's okay.
I just thinking I'd like to tell you all that I know exactly how to change the oil in my car, do a lube oil and filter, right? I'd like to be honest with you and say, I've got it figured out, and I can do everything exact. And yet somewhere in that process, I'm pretty sure I'm going to screw something up, because I have not done it before and I'm not an expert in the field. And lube oil and filter is such a simple thing to use the analysis on, but that's the best thing for me to say. I'm going to hire someone and pay them $30 or $50, whatever it is, and go, I know you guys do this well, and you're accountable, right, to take care of my vehicle and do this. When it comes to financial planning and or estate planning and investment planning, I'm just one of those that I feel like it makes sense to pay. I'm a certified financial fiduciary. That CFF designation says I have to be on the hook to be able to provide financial advice from that fiduciary standpoint, and cross my T's, dot my I's on that field of expertise. And those licenses behind me say that, make some sort of statement for me personally that I've worked hard for. And so why not pay an advisor to do his job? But if someone says, I know what I'm doing and I love managing money myself, well, yeah, you don't need Brandon or myself. Do it. Have fun. Go at it. But when people ask me, how do you go to sleep at night facing yourself in the mirror when you're managing close to $100 million of assets? It's what I'm supposed to do and Brandon's supposed to do. And we have great days and we have not so great days. And we're going to face today and we're going to face tomorrow and the day after, and try and do our best to manage our clients' risk versus reward, and understanding that and knowing that, and then the client's willing to pay a fee for that. Yeah, that to us, it makes sense. It seems to be a win-win for both parties. Dead silence.
And if as for somebody who maybe doesn't have more than 2 pennies to rub together, what would you suggest as like a starting to get started in investing? Do you guys have a minimum threshold for taking on new clients?
Rub 2 pennies. I love that. That's awesome. Because you do that and there's friction and something happens, right? I'm assuming. We do. I'm sure every firm out there has certain, minimums, whatnot. For us as a firm, while we might have in writing minimum investment is $500,000, which I think that's what it says on our website. For us, again, we're managing relationships. So if a Fortunan, right, that we care about, that we want to do business alongside and help and promote and grow them, comes to us and says, would you be willing to help me? I'd say there's a good chance we would be. But if someone comes to us and says, I've got $5,000, I expect you to turn it into 10, don't talk to me unless you do. No, we're not looking for that kind of client, right? Go ahead and do it on yourself. I'll even give you the websites that you can do it on your own. So while we might have minimums, I think for us, Brandon really summed that up early on in his conversation. We're about relationship. We love people. We love managing risk, but we also love helping people get from point A to point B. And if we can play a part in that and they want to be a part of us in doing that, then I don't know that minimums are as big of a deal, but we don't work for free. I'm pretty sure none of you do as business folk, businessmen and women in Fortuna and the city. So if the fees align and they make sense and it's again, win-win for both parties, yeah, great. But the bigger the balance, in some regards, as crazy as it sounds, the easier it is for us to manage. But that's not to say that that's the only thing that we take into consideration when it comes to accepting an account or declining an account. We've turned down many multi-million-dollar accounts because they didn't match up with our goals, our values, and the way that we manage money. And I think that's only fair.
Great. Jeremy, I see your hand is up.
Jeremy, Jeremy's trouble. Don't do it.
Well, this question might be something you said you probably couldn't answer, but the market's going crazy right now, and who knows when it's not going to go crazy anymore. What would your advice be to somebody that likes to take less risk than others, park it in a money market account, see what happens, or leave it and let it ride because I'm only 46? What do I do?
Man, that's a great question, Jeremy. Brandon, you want to tackle it or do you want me to?
Well, I think individually, we'd have to say it all depends on the person. And so, no, I can't give a direct answer to it because that's the whole nature of what we can't do, like you assumed. But one of the problems clearly right now is the interest rates. I mean, interest rates are so low. We have a low interest rate environment world. The other piece of it is always trying to time the market, which is not the best thing to do. And some of these can become cliches, don't time the market. But I mean, the fact is that we see markets go up and we see markets go down. And so if we stay completely on the sidelines and don't invest, well, we're not going to beat inflation. And we're going to earn almost nothing, even in a 5-year CD. But again, if you can't risk, if you can't deal with any kind of volatility, well, then what are you going to do? The only option is an FDIC insured CD or money market or whatever. But there's going to be a cost somewhere. You might lose in inflation. You might lose by being in the market, which again is why a diversified portfolio comes into play too. And that's where the risk piece comes in. Well, maybe for X percentage, that person needs to be ultra conservative. But then for this other percentage, it needs to be more invested in markets or bonds or REITs or whatever. So that really does become individualized, but there's no doubt that there's going to be a cost either way. And I mean, people have all kinds of reasons of them why they don't want to be invested. Or you always think, the markets are dipping, so you keep waiting. You keep waiting for it to dip lower. I mean, it's 1,000 points today. Is it going to go down 1,000 points tomorrow? Well, maybe, but then all of a sudden coronavirus happens and a month later and everything's way back up. And you go, well, now what do I do? So I'm stuck both ways. So I think not just focusing on what should I do now, but where do I want to be in 10 years, 15 years, 20 years? What's my risk level? And then how do I get there? Because some of the other different choices that we make may end up costing us more than we think. And so I think it comes down to percentages and diversification. And again, they kind of become cliches, but it can't just be a direct answer because every single person is so different.
Jeremy, one thing's for sure. I think what we've learned in the last 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years of politics, we think affecting the markets. I'm going to argue, and I'm not going to put my political colors on my sleeve because I want to be professional here today, but I'm going to argue it doesn't matter whether you're a Republican or a Democrat. You look at the markets, and if you were a Republican thinking President Trump had to win and he didn't win, and we thought then the world was going to come to an end. So you have that side, or the Democrat who said, no, Biden was the right person and Biden won. And so the markets are moving in this direction. Brandon did a blog post a while back that shows, I forget, since however many political cycles we've had, 41 or whatever it is that we've been tracking the markets. And there isn't a perfect correlation. If a Republican wins, the markets go down. If a Democrat wins, the markets go. No, the markets historically do well over time. And I think understanding that and separating politics, and instead just saying, as Brandon said, what's your risk and how much are you willing to take? And if you said, I'm zero risk, well, then your choice is money markets earning 0%, a little over than that. And inflation's at 2.1 to 3, depending upon who you're asking. You're losing money. But if you invest in the stock markets, you might lose money and you might make money, right? So there's this game that, to me, that ties in with Renee's question. I wouldn't be tackling that alone if it were me. I'd put the heat on a financial advisor. I don't care who it is, where you go, but I'd put the heat on an advisor and go, I need your help. And I'm holding you accountable, but I know I can't hold you accountable on certain things because you're just providing an opinion, but I need some help and guidance because I'm so confused. I thought, and again, I'm not picking on you, Jeremy, but I'll pick on my clients. I thought as a registered Republican, the world was going to come to an end on November 3rd, and it didn't. But now the Dow's at 33,537, right as I look, right? Is now a good time to invest? Well, part of me says, heck no, are you kidding me? Don't touch it with a 10-foot pole. But if I said that in November, you've given up 10 to 20% in returns, depending upon where you're invested, or more if you were, higher risk. So, man, I got to be careful in giving you guidance based upon either how I feel or my political motivation or my religious motivation or whatever might motivate me. But understanding the markets, I would certainly say the markets seem very rich right now, overpriced. As Brandon brought up, interest rates are a concern. And if inflation is anywhere on the rise, I personally think markets have a lot of room to come down, and they haven't. And I keep waiting for them. But ignoring the markets is also a mistake because then you've missed out on, those potential returns. So again, get an advisor, I think, or if you're qualified, do it yourself. But, my thought is good luck. So.
Thank you for the answer. It's kind of the same thing in my business in real estate. We're like 12 or 13 years into what is typically a 7 to 10 year cycle for a dip in the market. And so I'm not understanding what's keeping us elevated in price, but we have killer interest rates and we have low inventory and we have lots of demand. And so that says the market's going to continue. And I would ask the same thing. What are your experts seeing? Are they seeing the same thing in the stock market side of the conversation? Or are they saying, yeah, we're overdue for a recession, but there's no signals to say it's going to slow down?
Brandon, while you contemplate, I'll comment, Jeremy. Yes to all those questions, meaning the pundits that any of us can follow on Wall Street. I'm getting a bag of mixed signals, dependent upon whether, and right now my station is on Bloomberg. No offense to CNBC, because I love CNBC, but it depends on what television station you're listening to. You could easily be influenced by what the analysts are saying. And I will tell you this, if you get, I'll use this number, 50 analysts that follow the markets, and you say, where is it going? You're going to get 50 different answers. And from those 50, you'll try and bring it in or hone it into, well, come on, give me some sort of comfortable forecast. I would say if you look at the markets right now, much like the real estate markets, things are inflated, things are overpriced, but there is also a lot pushing this economy. And if we come out of COVID, and I say if, meaning realistically, you hope and pray and believe we will, and the masks will come off and businesses will get back to normal and we'll start to spend money, I'm going to argue we have been spending money. The economy outside of airfare and cruises and, some of the other areas of the economy that have been hurt, restaurants, hotels, but much of the economy has still remained strong. Apple has sold as much product during COVID as they did prior to COVID. So Amazon, of course, selling even more so. So I would think look for sectors or places in the market or the environment that stand or could do well during this COVID, post crisis as we come out of it. But, I'm sure those of you in the real estate business, Jeremy, and anybody who's a real estate investor, we look at the markets right now and you go, does it make sense to buy? Well, it makes sense to sell, I guess, if you have the right piece of property. But even here for me in Arizona, now is a good time for me to buy. And honestly, I can't personally pull the trigger. We just moved from Tucson to Phoenix, and right this second, I'm leasing until I can feel comfortable that it makes sense to buy. But my 3 kids, I've each helped them each financially buy a house because they wanted to buy, and it made sense. And I'm a dad who loves my daughters, and so I'm going to help them. But I personally can't pull the trigger. Yeah, that's the war that we're going to deal with and struggle with regards to real estate. Same thing as on Wall Street. But I do think, in all fairness, my dad in 1990, when I got into this line of work, I got to tell you all this. I remember him counseling me, and he said, Dave, what in God's name are you thinking? The Dow's at 3,057. 3,057. Why would you get in? It's overinflated. It's overpriced. It's gone up like crazy. And why would you get into this line of work? And I said, well, I want to help people get from point A to point B. And all of that to be said, that was in 1990. The Dow had pushed through 3,000. We're now 33,000. We've had 27 or 28 major corrections of at least 10% during that near 30-year window. And yet the markets have gone up more than they go down. It's just a good reminder, be smart, invest wisely, invest in the best companies of America, and diversify. And I would hope you should do okay over time. Again, qualification disclaimer, I can't give financial advice unless you're a client, and we've got to be careful what we can and can't say, but you sure would think, just don't buy bad stocks. Don't buy bad companies.
Hey, Dave, I gotta cut you off because we're nearing the end. But if anyone would like to invest in the North Coast Journal, I'm gonna be accepting investors in the next 5 to 10 years. All right, Dave, Brandon, this was great. Anybody got any less? $500,000? Jeremy, real estate, stock market? I don't know.
Melissa, go publicly traded and we can talk.
Yep, that's gonna be a while. All right, Renee, anything else before we go?
No, that's it for all of you who have purchased raffle tickets or dinner tickets. We will see you Friday at the River Lodge starting at 4:30, from 4:30 to 7:30 to pick up your dinners. And we'll pull the raffle prizes on Saturday. Samantha, thank you for that getaway in Ria Del. It just lit up social media this weekend. That prize has had more shares. It's fantastic. It's a $500 value 2-night stay in this amazingly gorgeous riverfront property in Ria Del. It's fantastic. Saltwater, you had me at saltwater hot tub, I have to say. So anyway, still tickets available. Come buy some if you haven't. Otherwise, if I don't see you Friday, we will see you back here on Monday at noon for our next meeting. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Dave and Brandon. I appreciate you being on.
Renee, can you hear me? Where'd she go?
Yeah, hold on.
Oh, I
Yeah.
have my basket ready. I'll bring it.
Oh, great. Perfect. Okay.
Okay.
I'll see you
All right.
later.
All right.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.